Hi, I'm Phil and welcome to this episode of All Monsters Go to Space. So this week we're going to be talking about what the Jeepers Creepers monster, the Creeper, could possibly be. So this is the main creature from the series started in 2001, starting with Jeepers Creepers and followed up by Jeepers Creepers 2. I'm doing this video because obviously the third installment has now been greenlit. And ever since watching this film, I've always been curious of what this creeper creature could be based on popular culture or myths and legends. So I have three kind of theories on this. The first one is a pretty basic theory and pretty much the most widely accepted. The director did kind of say that he's not entirely sure what the creeper is, but that potentially it could have been human at some point. So what the creeper actually does, it sleeps for 23 years and then basically for 23 days it wakes up and it's allowed to feed. Now what does it feed on? For anyone who's seen the films, they will know that basically it feeds on us. So basically it uses fear, it scares its victims, and by doing this somehow it's able to sense if there's anything it would want from us. And when I say want, basically if it eats lungs, it'll eat the lungs so it can breathe, it'll eat eyes so it can see, etc. So what could this creature be? Now the first theory is that basically this was a human being that for some reason, maybe to extend its own life, who knows, made a deal with either the devil or some kind of demon, and basically it's become this creeper. The next theory, and this is one of my own personal theories, but that this creature could be based on the Native American, Native Canadian Wendigo legend. Now basically a Wendigo is a creature from, as I said, Native American legend, that the story goes that in harsh winters in northern Canada and Northern America, when food is scarce, a human may resort to cannibalism, and this spirit or demon of the forest known as the Wendigo may then enter their body. So a description of Wendigo is basically this creature that feeds on human flesh that will never be full. They're presented as being anywhere from 9 feet to 12 feet tall. They're skinny with basically bones protruding from their body with a greyish-greenish complexion. So this in some ways does sound a lot like the creeper. The colouring's right for a start. This greenish-greyish complexion. It's also very skinny, and of course it does feed on human flesh. But obviously, so in some senses the creeper may have been based on the Wendigo, but there are some problems with this theory of, as I said, the Wendigo is native in mythology to northern parts of Canada and northern parts of America in the harsh winters. The creeper wakes up in pretty much the height of summer and lives in the countryside of Florida. So a Wendigo that are typically associated with cold areas, you wouldn't necessarily, I guess, find them in the height of summer in the backwaters of Florida. Also, the creeper is not 9 feet tall or 12 feet tall. It does seem to be taller than an average human being, but not as big as a Wendigo would be. Also, the creeper does have wings, which, as far as I can tell in my research, no legend of the Wendigo has. So I think there's some potential there of maybe it was based on that, but probably not. So moving on to the next theory, and this is pretty much the most out there theory I've come up with. So I've come across a couple of theories online saying that maybe the creeper is some kind of demon alien. And initially I just disregarded this entirely until I started thinking about the idea of a demon alien and where I might have heard that before, whether in myth legends or from popular culture. And instantly Pennywise, or from the Stephen King novel It, and also from the 90s film It, sprung to mind, who basically is a demon alien that basically goes around eating children. So, and when you kind of look at the behaviour of these two creatures, they do behave in similar ways. For example, Pennywise does wake up in summertime. He also sleeps for decades, the same as the creeper. And he also does use fear in a way of sniffing out what he wants and who he wants to eat. Of course, yet again, there are some significant differences between Pennywise and the creeper. For example, as far as we know, the creeper can't shapeshift, which is something that Pennywise does do on a regular basis. For example, in the film, he becomes a werewolf, a giant spider, and of course a clown. So with the two films, of course, the It reboot and Jeepers Creepers 3 potentially coming out around a similar kind of period, I'm just kind of wondering at this time if anyone else is going to make the connection between the two. So in total, I would have to say that maybe the creeper is maybe in some way inspired by Pennywise, and maybe also inspired by the Wendigo legend. So thank you for watching this episode of All Monsters Go to Space, and I'll see you next time.